Preaching on the yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and only Rumboyz Fantasy Network. This is the Goal Line Goons Fantasy Podcast. This is our weekly waiver wire show here on the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. Your boy RumboyzRobbie. That's my co-host TDS Taco. Taco, how's it going, bro? I know you're not feeling too hot.
This tea right now is burning the back of my esophagus, so I can make sure to deliver the flaming hot takes tonight, baby.
You know what? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad for you. Hopefully you feel better, bro. Appreciate you still showing up so that we can get things done. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. Shout out to the Goal Line Goons crew.
This is the first time I ever had a tea while I'm doing a live.
I mean, I have tea. There's just rum in my tea.
Yeah.
You know,
I should have got the Kahlua.
I dig. Worst September in New York history. Hey, this is now Rumtober. September is basically done at this point.
We still got the Yankees.
Let's go ahead. Let's dive right into it. There's a lot to talk about. We are going to start things off with the injury report. This week's injury report is relatively smaller than last week's because luckily not a lot of quarterbacks that went down. It was mostly receivers and running backs that went down. So we are going to help you navigate those parts. Terry McLaurin, quad injury. We'll see how that kind of shapes up. Doesn't seem too bad, but we'll wait and see. Mike Evans, hamstring, should probably be missing some time. It's sounding like it's already reported that he will be missing some time. CeeDee Lamb, ankle injury, did come back into the game during the second quarter last week against the Bears. Was not able to play through the injury, but did give a positive vote of confidence for fantasy managers out there that he's going to be out there and he's going to be playing. So little reverb there. So be on the lookout for CeeDee Lamb news throughout the week. I will be covering it on each day that we are live. Let's see here. Just give me 1 second. My bad that had taken place. Najee Harris. Najee Harris is out for the season with an Achilles. We definitely, wish best of recovery to Najee Harris, but that does mean wheels up on Amari and Hampton now. So last couple episodes where we were talking about, panic or chill, on Hampton, we're actually going to be talking, we'll be playing a little panic and chill, later on, but it's wheels up on Hampton now for Hampton managers.
And one of the things,
if you're trying to trade for Hampton, it's the price is now up.
Yeah, you better get it now, because the one thing that I did notice with Hampton's usage is he was using the passing game and he was using the running game. And if you know me, I bang that home. I want my RBs that are catching passes, and he has now a path to top 15 running back status with the potential volume. That second half looked amazing. Wheels up, like he said.
No, absolutely. I absolutely seeing him kind of, get that usage and then, fully be utilized as, the back that they drafted him to be.
3 down, bell cow style.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's giving bell cow. Speaking of another situation here off the injury report, James Conner out with an ankle. He is going to be missing the pretty much the rest of the season. He's out for the rest of the season.
Don't rewatch that injury.
Yeah, that one was awful. It is wheels up on Trey Benson. We have been telling all of you out there to go and get Trey Benson. I will say it right now. It's about 53% available. I'm going to come back around to it when we get to the waiver wire segment, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there right now. If you did not already have him on rosters because you have not been watching the Goal Line Goons podcast, go back, watch the previous episode so that you can get the receipts and then utilize this episode as more receipts for what we're telling you to double down on what we told you on the previous weeks.
I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more on when we get back to him later because I got some stats that you're going to like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then De'Ami Brown, who was practically working his way into the almost de facto wide receiver 1 role. It's a shoulder. We don't know what the time is looking like, but we have a great patchwork job there for Jacksonville because it seemed like last week, whenever De'Ami went down, Parker Washington was stepping up, and right now nobody has Parker Washington, so we're going to talk a little bit about him later on. Taco.
Yes, sir.
You affected by any of these? Any of these personally hit your fantasy rosters?
Well, personally, on the same team that I have CeeDee Lamb, I have Omari and Hampton, and I have Trey Benson. So Lamb down, Hampton and Benson up. I'm like, it could be worse because Lamb's not out for the year, thank God. It's just a high ankle sprain. I hope they don't rush him back. I know that you were talking that he may play this week. I'm hoping they give him at least 2 weeks to just chill. Just chill. Like, I don't want you coming back. Because I remember when Barkley came back, he was not the same player for a couple of weeks. Because it is, like, you're still sore. Like, there's no reason for him to, I feel like, put it out there right now. When, you already traded Micah Parsons or penny on the dollar. Like, if that wasn't like the theme of the year, it'd be easier. But you're basically saying that you're building for next year, so I'm hoping they sit him out. But yeah, and then I'm a BTJ roster, so hopefully that De'Ami Brown not being there will funnel some targets back to BTJ, build a little connection, and then De'Ami Brown's an afterthought for the rest of the year. So,
I will say that with De'Ami Brown being out, I think that this hopefully should, have Brian Thomas Jr. maybe leverage this kind of situation to really, show what he's got. He looked a little bit decent last week, but it still definitely looks like that the chemistry is off.
Yeah, it was a catch at the end that was everything for him. But
that's what
I will say, like, I'm very shocked knowing the coordinator that the head coach used to be with the Bucks and everything with his offenses. You were expecting a lot, but even Travis Hunter has barely flashed anything that you hoped he would be able to be or what he was in college. So I just feel like the two big guys have yet to even really get going.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about that. Here in just a moment. The one that definitely, I won't say definitely that affected me in a couple of leagues, that might affect me in a couple of leagues, is the Terry McLaurin. We're starting to see McLaurin kind of get back into stride and kind of, get things back together. I don't think that this one will be too heavy of a setback, just kind of similar how we approached Jaden Daniels this past week. Hey, it's not too bad of a thing. Kind of what Taco just said about CeeDee Lamb. Hey, don't rush him back. Bruce Arians said something great on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, in the essence of that, your season really, really gets going, once you get towards like the end of October. For real, it's really cemented once, we're into Thanksgiving, and then it's like, okay, now these are the teams that are rolling on to the playoffs that, we're thinking about in our heads as hands down, irregardless of playoff teams. Right now, there are, a couple of teams just trying to figure out, that missing piece that they are missing, or trying to figure out, how they may get, find that extra piece to get over the hump. Or, right now, guys are going to go down, but later in the year, they're going to be coming back healthy. So it's all about all those things lining up as well. So there's certain injuries right now early in the year that not really just panicking too much on. It's more so as we get later down the line, and like the severity of some of them that I really want to kind of look out for. We do have a question before we get into the waiver wire. Trade Sutton for Hampton as Brindy Bish. Make sure to give us a follow. Taco, I'll let you lead off with this one. I know how I feel.
That's a great question because I actually have them both on one team. And Sutton has been my baby this year. I've been going after him in a lot of teams because his alpha status on that team, I think, is cemented. I know that the week before we saw Troy Franklin kind of pop off, but I fully believe in Sutton being an alpha. I fully believe in him putting up top 15 wide receiver numbers. With that said, I would never trade a wide receiver for a 3-down back that catches passes. Hampton's upside is just too great for me to pass up on, especially with running backs being what they are. I think it's a really fair deal. I think it really depends on your needs and what the rest of your roster looks like. If you have depth at running back and you're trading, for Sutton, makes sense. If you need a running back and you're saying I can deal Sutton for this guy, makes sense. You can cut this either way, but I would take Hampton over Sutton rest of the season.
For me, this one is simple, it's clear cut, especially after the way that things played out this previous week. What Denver has showed us offensively is that it can easily be a Troy Franklin week, which I think that we're going to get a fuck ton more of those. So don't go panic dropping Troy Franklin right now. And we are also seeing that it can very well be Marvin Mims weeks. Mims was getting targeted quite often this past Sunday. With that being said, though, I am for sure going for Hampton. And then I love that you kind of follow it up with I have Chase Brown, Hubbard, and Kyron, and panicking on Chase Brown, which is going to be brought up in this show, actually, believe it or not. So that's why I'm saying I'm loving this question here. Chase Brown needs to go. We're going to talk more about that in depth, but you're right for feeling that way and working towards trying to get him out of the starting line. First is getting him out of the starting lineup. Second is getting him off the team. And if you could do both of those in one foul swoop, then hell, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But yes, I would easily go Sutton for Hampton. There's just the upside, and then Hampton's not competing with anybody in terms of running back shares realistically, whereas Sutton, it does seem like that there are options that they will gladly use at any given fucking point that they so choose in the Sean Payton offense.
He should just have like such a good floor because that he'll have volume.
He does. He has a great floor, but I like Sutton as a wide receiver too. And if I'm able to trade a wide receiver 2 or like a 3 on some rosters, depending on if you went wide receiver heavy in your original build, if I could be getting rid of that guy for a RB1.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer to me. To the point I'm about to drop Chase Brown for Trey Benson. I would do that. That's one easy way to solve the whole situation. And then let someone else go ahead and pick up Chase Brown and deal with the headache. And then they might end up dropping a wide receiver that you could then still bring back.
I don't even want to go in there yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Waiver wire top ads. Okay. This is based off of percentage owned as we head into week 4 here. We are going to start off with the quarterbacks. This is not in any particular priority. I'll actually do these in priority. Never mind. I'm going to do these in priority. I'm sorry. Starting off first with the priority of quarterbacks, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is looking like he picked up right where he left off. Had to shake off the rust in week 1, but the last couple of weeks he is on fire. And on top of that, he is making things work with the weapons that he has. One of the big questions heading into this season was Sam Darnold going to be able to light it up with a lesser wide receiver core. Man, he seemed to be able to making it happen, and he's making JSN look like the de facto wide receiver 1 in fantasy football right now. Puka Nacua might have something to say about that, but hey, that's where I get into the second guy here, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford finding all of his weapons, putting points on the board Okay, for fantasy managers, Stafford's sitting somewhere really quick. Darnold's around 18% availability, and he's are owned in leagues. Matthew Stafford 32% owned across fantasy leagues. That's a guy that I'm willing to go out there and start if I'm still worrying about who I'm going to trot out there at quarterback. If I'm dealing with some of these quarterback injuries that are still lingering from the previous weeks or waiting for guys to return. Geno Smith at 20%, it's just because we know that they are going to pass heavy in Vegas. This team is going to be playing from behind, and things are not working out well in the running game and with the running game, kind of similar to what we saw last year with Vegas. So they're going to be passing a lot. That's what makes Geno kind of, tantalizing on the waiver wire. And then Jackson Dart at 12%, who we're going to talk about a little bit more. Taco, tell us about the quarterbacks really quick.
I think what you're saying about Sam Darnold is right. Like, this man is just putting up numbers, and there was a lot of worry because he was going to go
Ask
to
some
a lesser
questions.
guy. And I think not only is he delivering, but he is kind of like having to bounce a little bit higher back up just because of what he did last year. And we faded him too far. It's like now he's regressing back to where he really should be. And that's kind of, I think, what's starting to happen with Sam Darnold. I think the most interesting waiver ad is Jackson Dart. I think there's a lot that could be said on this that I won't talk about now. But I think the main thing that I want to highlight is the way that the Giants had rushing packages for him and rushing formations where he would be out there to run the ball. All things considered, I do think that this sets it up for a decent floor. He has a decent floor to him. And on a speculative ad with Cam looking solid in both the run and the pass game, Wandell, Neighbors. We saw he had a good quick pass game in the preseason. Now it's going to be a little rocky, but that's where his rushing upside, I think, gives him that safety that he would actually be the one that I would probably go after if I'm not getting Sam Darnold. I would get Sam Darnold because right now he is more consistent, he is more reliable, and he probably could carry you to that championship because his output last year was ridiculous, and we really faded him because of the new situation. So I do think that he's one, Darts two, Chino is just your fallback option. I don't think he runs enough for him to be good as far as the QB1 is concerned, and he doesn't get enough passing touchdowns to justify you really kind of going crazy for him. He's a nice bye week fill-in. You're on week 5, Jordan Love's on bye. You want to pick him up for a week and then drop him when you're done. That's not a bad move, but if you need someone for your team going forward, I think it's Dart and I think it's Darnold.
Okay. Taking a look here. Hang 20 asks, hi. Would you trade? I'm assuming it's would you trade? Would you trade BTJ, Josh Jacobs, Travis Hunter for Amon-Ra, Judkins, and Scat?
If I'm getting St. Brown,
Yes, because I'm
yes,
getting St. Brown, I'm getting Judkins.
yes,
Scat is just kind of now an extra, value piece.
yes,
Judkins
yes.
at this point could very well, when we're just talking about the rookie running backs, just the rookie running backs. Hampton, we know how I feel about Hampton. His wheels up. He's gonna ball the fuck out. We figured that coming into the season, and now it's really gonna come into fruition, given the unfortunate injury with Najee. Judkins could very well be right there in that conversation in terms of the rookie running backs when it's all said and done. Given the start with Genty, and if things continue with Genty the way that they are, because Vegas doesn't have an offensive line. So I'm buying the Judkins stock right now. Scat's just a great throw in. Tyrone is going to be missing some time. And they're ready for this kid be paired up with Dart anyways.
I think Judkins' volume right now is ridiculous. I did not expect him with missing camp to step in almost in his second week in the NFL and basically take every snap away from Samson. Ford was kind of like the off play, but his volume percentage of carries, I think, was very impressive. And Judkins is fast on his way to becoming one of those players that could win you a championship, especially if you have him in your flex.
Really quick, just in terms of what we were talking about with the waiver wire quarterbacks, the priorities. I'm saying I think we hold off on the Jackson Dart hype, and then also like mathematically speaking, if you are like high on him, you don't have to go and do anything right now. He's at 12%, and your league mates aren't rushing out there to go. If you're in a league of experienced players, if it's a league of like guys that have been around, guys and girls that have been around for a long time, then they're not going for a fucking rookie quarterback like off of that's not going to be a thing. Will likely come when we come back to Jackson Dart. Let's say he has a great week, this week we come back to Jackson Dart and we're like, oh, like now it's the Jackson Dart show, and we're probably looking at maybe 15% rostership. Like it's a slight uptick. There's just a certain way that these things work out data wise.
I would say that
too much.
You're probably right. It really does depend on your league size. In 2 QBs, he's an immediate add. In a single QB, I do think it depends on who you have, because we did see Joe Burrow go down. We've seen some of the bigger guys like Fields go down. And then, like in my case, I have Dak Prescott, where I've been thoroughly unimpressed. And I do have, I run 2 guys, so I have Dak and Caleb. But I am actually making the play for Jackson Dart because I do think he can get 50 yards rushing a game. And I don't want to wait.
Would I trade Keenan Allen for Pickens due to Lamb being out? Lamb's not going to miss a whole lot of time. But I will have some nice things to say about Keenan Allen later, but no. What's good, Matt? What's good? Be on the lookout for JD news. They don't have to rush him back, but there's a chance, because the injury wasn't as severe, that they might put him back out there. That situation, I would say, is 70-30 right now. 70 that he might be back out there, 30 not. We'll see how the week develops. The temperature of the organization very well could change. If I'm watching that and if I feel like, oh, there might be an injury bug kind of like looming, you know what? We'll just hold off, just wait. It's the Falcons this week. Come on. Yes, Rome must start. Absolute must start. I have some things about that later on. Absolute must start. Rome or Javonte moving forward. If we are talking about from a pure flex standpoint, this is a good thing to have. You need to be keeping them both on your roster. I don't think that is necessarily a question of moving forward unless you're hands down 100% getting an upgrade piece for either or in a trade. But that's not a part of this question, so there's no point in me hypothetically entertaining that for the sake of time. Yeah, I mean,
give me Rome rest of the season over Javonte.
Yeah. Like I said, this is fantasy football. We got to be focusing on week-to-week matchups, though. But right now, as is week-to-week, you need to be keeping both of them on your roster. You don't want to be making anyone's roster any much stronger at this point in the game right now.
Oh, you don't get rid of any of those guys.
Yeah, you don't. No. Yeah, unless it's a hands down, you're about to win the trade.
Yeah.
I want to get into the running back. So Trey Benson is an I told you so player here on the Goal Line Goons Fantasy Football Podcast. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. We have been saying it since preseason on Rumboys After Dark.
Yeah.
We have said it on mock drafts that we have done. Mm-hmm. I have even brought it up in shorts. Mm-hmm. We have brought it up on this very show every damn week since the season has started.
Even James Conner brought it up. 1A, 1B.
Yes, James Conner has brought it up. He is 53% available. There is a 50% chance. You're telling me there's a chance?
Crash out now. Crash
I
out
am
now.
telling you there's a chance. Okay? I am willing. All right? And if this is just to put it into perspective for you. Okay? This is just to put it in perspective. In order for me to go and get Trey Benson in leagues that Fab is involved with the waiver situation, I am putting up to 60% of my Fab on Trey Benson. Every year there is a waiver wire back that you blow the bag on. Every year, half your league does it in week 1 because they think, oh my God, this is going to be the guy. For all of you that already went out there and blew the bag on Judkins on the waiver wire, you're missing out on this workhorse. Trey Benson, wheels up. I'm willing to blow up to 60%.
And I would actually go probably higher. I would go to 70 depending on my team. Like if I am weak at running back or I feel unconfident in my running back, I am not holding back. And the reason why is because he's not someone that's like, oh, he's just a new wide receiver, running back 1. No. He's someone that since the preseason has been identified as a player with a skill set, as a player with an opportunity. In the last couple of weeks, I've been showcasing how the first game he was running and got some big runs. In the second game, he was catching and he had some passes. In the third game, he kind of had both. And that's what you could possibly see out of him is, again, kind of what I was saying before with Hampton, a 3-down back that's going to get the pass catching opportunity. And if he's playing on the field for about 70% of the snaps, that's a top 12 RB, top 15 RB. And this is on the waiver wire right now. You crash out. You crash out right now if he's there.
You crash the fuck out.
Yeah.
Brendy, this is fantasy football. You gotta play without. You have to play without that. There's definitely emotion involved, but that you have to let it go. Let it go.
As a Chase Brown rosterer, are we ready to? We're saving. We have a segment with Chase Brown in it. I'm gonna save my stuff for then. I say wait till that segment before you decide to make that drop because I got some stuff.
Yo, wait for that segment. Share the content. Get your friends up in here. Share the Twitch link.
Yes,
we got you. We got you. I want to talk about Bashaw Tootin. The Jacksonville Jaguars have found a great weapon X in Tootin. Listen, the same philosophy that we preached, that we were preaching with the James Conner situation, and how, hey, if anything, God forbid, if anything happens to the lead back, then this guy is going to be the next home run hit. He's already showing that he could be a home run hit. I'm not ready to start putting him into lineups yet. I am ready. Hear me out. I am ready for this strategic move right here. If my opponent if anyone in my league, whoever in my league has Travis Etienne, I'm trying to have Tootin on my bench because I'm trying to now make rosters because I'm now trying to use what happened with the James Conner situation, what happened with the Najee and the Hampton situation. I'm going to be like, you see what time of the season it is. Oh, look, running backs starting to go down. Oh, you're going to need this. And I'm trying to bring back some gold. I'm trying to bring back some like a nice flex play, really nice flex play.
And I'll be honest, really depending on your rosters, if you're running back hungry, he's someone that is seemingly working his way into possible flex, especially in your deeper leagues and your more competitive leagues.
When bye weeks come, he's going into my starting lineups.
Yeah, so I think that this guy, it could have standalone value as well and play himself in, because when you look at the way the Jags are playing, they're running so much more than we had anticipated. And while ETN is still producing, they're giving enough workload, and then they traded, which is a further reinforcement of their belief in Tootin. They traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles After a week, what does that mean? Y'all saw the action. Y'all saw how he prepared. You saw how everything got down. You said, young man, we're going to ride with you and we're going to give you an opportunity to succeed. And that to me is something where, as we go on to the season, yes, there is always the injury bug upside, but there's also the standalone value upside. And I think that he has both. And I think that, like Rob said, I maybe wouldn't put him in my lineup unless I really had a bye week. And I think that they'll start next week, week 5, where you might have to start really considering him. I know that Chicago's on bye, Green Bay's on bye. You're going to have a few teams. I don't know what your rosters look like, but he is definitely someone that you grab before you need him so you don't get screwed, which is the same reason why we printed Trey Benson from before this injury, because he's identified as a guy with the skill set that if he gets the opportunity, you don't want to miss with him, because there's some guys where it's like, here's an opportunity. 16 carries for 42 yards and a fucking missed projection.
If anything were to happen to ETN, he's gonna be a 20 25, 2022 type of carry back.
One of those guys that you crash out on before.
If you have ETN, you need to be getting to now. If you're trying to play smart, and you got a free space on your bench, or you got someone that you've been waiting to drop and you're ready, go and get Tootin. We're going to keep this ship moving. I'm going to couple in these next 2 running backs just because they are very low on the waiver wire tier, but they did have good enough weeks to where you do need to talk about them. Both Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez, 3% available is McNichols, 1% availability is Rodriguez. These are great deep league plays for your 14, your 16 man, type of league situations. That's really the main play for these type of guys. Otherwise, I don't want anything to do with the Washington backfield. I'm pretty much willing to roster Bill, but I want to use Bill as a trade piece in fantasy football. Just because we're in a situation where I don't want to roster a 4-down back committee, but then also have to deal with this situation of, well, who do you start out of this backfield, or who's going to end up getting the scoring opportunities, or what the fuck, all of them scored today, So in the way that the Washington offense is designed, it is a plug and play type of style to where it does fit the athletes there, to where things that happened against Vegas in week 3 could rear its ugly head again later on. And you don't really want to be dealing with that in your fantasy lineup. You don't want to be dealing with who do you start from this. Out of the pack, I have the most confidence in Bill, and he has shown the most consistency. And I think that eventually he breaks away from the mold. But also, I don't know. Cliff could be like, I have so many fucking weapons, just deploy them all, which is kind of how he was, even before Austin Eckler went down, was how he was already kind of running this in the first place. So that's how I feel. 0-3, but now I have Hampton, Gibbs, Mason Scadaboo going off. You jackasses, watch out. I'm going on a run. Nice. I love that.
I got one bonus one before we go, and I'll hit it real quick. Woody Marks from Texas. Damian Pierce was a healthy scratch in the last game. Nick Chubb is getting on the older side and really isn't used in the receiving game. I'm in college, everything I've seen here is Woody Marks was very explosive in the receiving game, and his trend line to me is someone that if you have a nice roster space, a deep competitive league, he's a guy that I've identified that I want to start picking up.
I do like the Woody Marks call. Let me see if there is anyone that I may want to throw in before. Just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get us moving. Nope, we're good. We're good. All right. Getting into the wide receivers. I'm I'm gonna kind of throw out a gem here. Sterling Shepard, 0% ownership across fantasy football. Nobody wants him. Check it out though. And Buka's banged up a little bit after going off for the last 3 weeks, so he's going to need a little bit of help. He's still going to be out there, but he's going to need a little bit of help. There's no Mike Evans, and Godwin still has to get worked back into things, and it's still going to be a while before that is fully worked back in to fruition. Baker and Sterling Shepard play together in college, so that's why you're getting these glimpses of Sterling Shepard week in, week out, especially over decent doses over the last 2 weeks. Sterling Shepard might be a guy in deep league situations that you may want to go out there and grab. So I just want to kind of throw him out there just because it is a 0% availability situation or rostership situation. Calvin Austin, 15%. He kind of just occasionally here or there gets sprinkled in into that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. When in doubt, he's kind of a nice little security blanket for Aaron Rodgers. He is out there making plays. I like that in deeper leagues.
Yeah.
Torrey Horton for the Seattle Seahawks, 2% rostered. Hear me out. Okay. The man returns punts. The man is the binky for Sam Darnold when, oh shit, I can't find Cooper Kupp. Oh shit, there is no JSN right now. Oh, I can't dump off to K9. Torrey Horton out of CSU is putting in work. Yes, real one saw the Colorado tape. I am starting to like Torrey Horton. I'm waiting for more. I want to see more, but I am loving this play. The same way that I was latching onto the Troy Franklin play last week. I think that this is going to be. He's now ended up on the show like 2-3 weeks in a row now. Kevontae Turpin, 4%, may see some targets with CD Lamb being out. Christian Kirk, just get CJ Stroud some time to throw, and maybe Christian Kirk can potentially be a thing. He is the veteran presence there, aside from Nico, so I expect him to get a little bit more dosage of work. Parker Washington of the Jacksonville Jaguars became the de facto wide receiver one with BTJ just fizzling out, aside from, the catch at the end of the game, put him back on the map. Travis Hunter was pedestrian, and then De'Ami Brown went out. So Parker Washington, who is 0% rostered, could be a thing. And then Quentin Johnson at 65%. He's still out there. There's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance that you could still get him. And then Tyquan Thornton, 1%, until we see where, what happens with Worthy. And then when Rice comes back, Thornton is getting targets in a high-powered Kansas City offense. Let's see here. Jason AC22 just got a big trade offer, BTJ and Hampton, for Justin Jefferson and Chase Brown. I don't want Chase Brown.
I'm taking BTJ and Hampton.
I'm taking BTJ and Hampton side of things there as well. Also, thoughts on selling high on K9. If you are going to do it, now is the time that you need to do it, and you need to get it done before it is too late. Because once it is too late to be able to get rid of K9, people start remembering everything from last year of having to deal with the headache of K9, and this is as high as you're going to be able to get on them.
To quote South Park, you're gonna have a bad time.
Exactly. Mayor Gino.
If you put a gun to my head, I'm gonna say Drake May because that rushing upside.
Yeah, I say May because of the rushing upside, but Gino is doing the damn thing with the passing yards. And Trey Tucker, man, I mean, my goodness, another name to look out there for.
Yes,
on the waiver wire.
Gonna bring up. He
got 40.
8 targets in his last 2 games, and out of the 3 games he's played, he has at least a touchdown in 2. So he's trending towards a nice little player for Geno to hit, and he's a speedster, so he opens the field. So you're getting more home run shots from this kind of a guy. So at 1%, I don't think he's a bad ad, or at 5%.
Looking at BTJ and K9 for Henry right now. For Derrick Henry,
I wouldn't do that.
Look, I would love
BTJ might break back out. Like
BTJ could
you're
break
overpaying
back.
a lot.
BTJ could rebalance back out, but I don't know if I want to be waiting on that.
I don't know if I put all my eggs in the King Henry basket though, with the 2 players you need.
I do still put all my eggs in the basket with King Henry. I would be willing to do this if I'm bringing back King Henry, especially with the King Henry managers being down on him on back-to-back fumbles, which we know we're not going to get too many of those. Like, this isn't like a fucking thing or whatever. So that's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. I just want Kenneth Walker off my team, to be honest. That's where I'm getting that emotion. I am getting that emotion. I don't mind the BTJ K9 package for King Henry. I would do that. I would run that trade any and every day.
I think BTJ's volume right now is still good enough where he could still be the best player in that deal. I know you want to get off a K9, so would I. But I definitely think I might try and trade K9 in the deal for Benson before a guy like the owner kind of realizes how good Benson is, or try and buy low on a guy like Hendo, instead of kind of going so high there, because BTJ, I do think I'm not willing to give up on him. He's from a school that produces receivers. He's with a coach that's known for offense. And just like Robbie said, Yami Brown is having a little injury. He's got an elite target share of every game. They have to figure it out.
If there's any week for BTJ to bounce back, it is this week. That's why I'm not trying to hurry up. Last week, I was panicking on BTJ. Given the circumstances heading into week 4, I'm still a little bit panicking on BTJ, but given the circumstances heading into this week, I'm like, I'll give you one more shot.
Yeah.
But if you let fucking Parker Washington outshine you, if you let Travis Hunter, who is a hybrid DB receiver, okay? So, by the way, offenses aren't even fucking throwing at Travis Hunter. That's how good of a DB he is. He's just not getting the looks on offense. But different conversation for a completely different podcast. I'll save that for Friday night. BTJ, if you let them boys outshine you this week, I'm coming on this show and I'm telling fantasy managers, you gotta go. It's gone, bro. So this is the last shot with BTJs this week. I want to go ahead and rattle off these tight ends. Brenton Strange,
security
blanket in a freaking half blow, bro. Pause. Brenton Strange, 25% availability. People keep adding and dropping Brenton Strange. I found myself in a league where I actually did the exact same thing. I had him, and I dropped him, or then I dropped him, and then I picked him back up again. It's a weird love affair with Brenton Strange. I think I'm just going to keep him on my roster and keep him on my bench. I feel like it's a good security blanket behind Zach Ertz, should I ever lose Zach Ertz, who is going off right now for fantasy managers. So I'm really loving Brenton Strange, and there are going to be weeks where he is going to lead that team in targets if things continue to go on that trend that we just talked about. Hunter Henry, security blanket and a half. I said this during the offseason heading into this season. There are going to be weeks where Hunter Henry is going to lead the New England Patriots in receiving, in targets, in interceptions, yada, yada, yada. There are going to be weeks where you are going to, even from a DFS standpoint, plug Hunter Henry into your lineups where you're going to smash overs on Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is going to be Drake May's security blanket. All right. As long as Hunter Henry is out there for the New England Patriots, he's also out there in fantasy lineups for me. I'm willing to pretty much start him week in, week out. This guy ended as a top 15 tight end last year. I believe even top 12 tight end last year, if I'm correct. So I'm willing to trust a guy with that much reliability with this quarterback. Mason Taylor, we need to find out if this is just a Tyrod thing or if this is going to be a Fields thing with Fields coming back. He's 6% rostered right now. I don't see that moving too much, given what I just said about the quarterback situation. Cade Otton is going to start seeing targets down there in Tampa with the injuries to the wide receiver room. He is 15% rostered right now, and Chig is getting the volume. So maybe a little bit something interesting there. In Tennessee, he typically has a great game against the Houston Texans. He had a huge bomb last year against Houston, so maybe he hits him with that one again. Jags OC Shane Waldron kills wide receivers. I'm dead. I have Benson Hyde. Maybe I'll try for Travion Hendo. Hey, if Vrabel gets his head out of his ass and starts giving Hendo some shots.
Well, also let's remember that you had the two running backs, both Gibson and Ramondre, fumbling multiple times in that game last week. And afterwards, Hendo came in and did get definitive volume in comparison. We don't know what that plays out for this week, but the trend lines say Hendo might be getting out that doghouse this week.
Yep. Chef, what's good, Chef? Chef Il Nabi. Chef Nabi. There we go. W trade Adams and Olave for Nico. Half PPR 10-man league. My team is Hurts, Adams, Chase, Genty. We need to get Genty off this team next. Chan, K9, Warren, DJ Moore. He's now the wide receiver 2 in Chicago, and it's Rome. Debo, Monty, JCM, Judkins, Godwin on IR, and Olave. I would do it. I would do it, but here's what I'll say about Devontae Adams. People need to be trying to acquire Devontae Adams for their wide receiver 2 spots and for their flex spots. Let me just throw that out there now.
I'll say this too. There's great volume with Olave. But just in a 10-man league, I value the best player a little bit more than most other leagues because you're able to go waiver wire hunting. And that's what we do here. We go dumpster diving and get you the trade mentions before they happen. So getting that free roster space is actually valuable in a 10-team league. So I would do that.
Should I try and trade Jamar for Malik? Given the fact that Jamar doesn't have his QB1, that's where the answer becomes yes. I got a feeling that Jake Browning is not going to be tied to Jamar during this whole 3-month absence of Burrow. I think that there is a call that is going to be made to New York. There is a chance that what started as a meme with Jackson Dart now being promoted to starter becomes a real fucking possibility of being like, here's Jameis. Give us some draft picks. We know that you need a quarterback. We know that you still you want to, go and make those playoffs. Here's Jameis. And I could very well see that happening. But I would do this just because I am panicking on Jamar. I have a brighter outlook for Malik with Dart right now than Jamar with Jake Browning. But that changes if the Bengals make a move for a decent backup quarterback and can get him some veteran presence back there under center. How do you compare? Go ahead.
But I was going to say, overall for Jamar Chase, I know the first game wasn't great and there's no Burrow, but He got 14 targets in game 2. And in game 3, he did have 6 targets. They did give him a rush attempt. He did fumble, which did reduce his points, but I think his volume is still so superior to everyone else. And he is super fucking elite.
That's why I'm holding on to Jamar in the league.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Arthur X for asking the question. Be sure to give us a follow. How do you two compare Walker to Henderson? Like, no way that would be 1-for-1, right? Okay. I do see how that I do see how that could be 1-for-1. Because you could easily have this argument be made. Walker's in a contract year, and which is part of why he is also balling his ass off and playing his ass off. One is a veteran that is playing for a second contract to stay with the team that drafted him because he actually enjoys being there. The other is a rookie with a first-year head coach that is still getting used to the NFL. We've seen flashes. This looked great, but how much more better is he than Ramondre? I mean, I think he is definitely better than Ramondre, but we also have seen Hendo put the ball on the ground.
You're going to hate to hear this, Jason, but Walker is probably the better player in the deal.
Walker's give me the guy in a contract year fighting to stay in his home.
This is the kind of deal that you do because you'd like the upside, and it could happen. It doesn't mean it will happen. Yeah. And there's the baked-in injury. There's everything that comes with it. Today, Walker's a better player. If you really want to move off of it, that's not a deal that you would be like, oh man, that's like horrible. It's like, okay, I get where you're going. But because that's the kind of guy you want with that upside, with that big play potential in that passing game. But if you can get Hendo and something for Walker, you're better off, especially since you want to move off of Walker. I hate to say it, but low key, Walker might be a guy that people actually should be trying to acquire.
Yeah, people
because of what Robbie just said, contract year, a guy that was high draft capital with tons of potential that has had some injury concerns, but when he plays, he's elite.
Hit me up on Instagram, and I'll send you some links to some of the stuff that I put out about Kenneth Walker, bro. Because I got some resources. I've talked them up a little bit. I've also talked them down, but I've also, I've given the man some props. But really quick to this question here, is Ollie Gordon a decent bench stash? The way that I feel about this, yes, not if I have. Taco brought up Woody Marks. We brought up Trey Benson. We brought up Tootin. So it's dependent if those are not available options for me to stash. For me, it's highly dependent.
I'll make my take on Ollie Gordon really quick. What I do like about him is that he is getting burn, even when you have Achane going off. Achane's not running efficiently, and Gordon's getting burned in the goal line situations. Much like Robbie said, this guy's a tier below everyone else because there isn't that pass catching upside with the way that they use Achane. He's strictly a goal line back. We're going to have to make his money on volume, which in this kind of a setup, the only way he gets there is through injury, which you can't predict. So he's like, in comparison to all the other guys, I would say the lowest because he's not going to get those pass catches, but he does get that wild touchdown upside. So not a bad stash, but the other ones are better.
Taco, how do you feel about some of those tight ends I just shot out on the waiver wire?
I think that we're banging the drum on Brenton Strange as that security blanket. It's a rough position at tight end, but I do think that he's probably the safest. Hunter Henry, I think maybe is a tier above him because he just has this like weird touchdown nose. I just feel like he finds his way to get some of these scores, and he's a reliable guy that you can use in the red zone. So I believe in him, and I believe that May has a good rapport with him over the last 2 years. So those would be the two guys. Chig, I mean, let's face it, he's a fan of the show, or where the show's a fan of him. He consistently shows up. I'm just not sold on the Tennessee offense enough to want to play him. He's just more like a bye week or desperation heave. Whereas with Brenton Strange or Hunter Henry, I'd feel a little bit more bullish on starting them based on their usage. Obviously, with Strange being more risky than I would say Henry, because I think that Henry has more touchdown upside.
And I'll go ahead and say it. In fantasy football, the tight end position is the wine of fantasy football because it only gets better with age. Shout out to guys like Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, going out there getting it done for all the fantasy managers out there. Let's see here. I bet Andrews is on the waiver wire in some leagues. I have actually seen him on the waiver wire in some leagues. I know that it's like sitting somewhere around like 83% or something like that. So like I have seen him be dropped during like weeks like 1 and 2. So he might still be floating around in there if you depending on the build of your league. You never know. I got Judkins off of waivers. A person picked him up. Judkins was drafted, dropped, picked up, dropped. I got him, and now I'm stashing and I'm holding him with Benson and Tootin on the bench. Bill, I'm sorry you're getting moved off the team, bro, because I'm keeping the studs. Let's get into. Go ahead, Taco.
I just had one last one that kind of just came up in my mind now. Blake Corum is that last guy on that Ollie Gordon level. If you want to snatch up, I think he's getting enough volume to keep himself interesting, and I'm just not a believer in Williams being able to maintain all season.
It's definitely building up. It's definitely building up. I want to see more. I want to see more of that experiment happening there in Los Angeles. Let's go into panic or chill. It's Rumtober. The leaves are changing. It's getting a little chilly outside. So we're going to see, out of the 4 players that I have listed, fantasy managers are tilting right now, heavy. We're going to see if they need to be hitting the panic button and trading these guys, or if for now, on a parameter of maybe 1 to 3 more weeks, if they just need to chill. Starting off, Ashton Genty. Panic or chill?
I would say panic because all we're doing right now is seeing a consistent production from the preseason to now. I think if he would have had some good showings in the preseason, we could have been like, it's a slow start, it's something new, but the offensive line hasn't looked good, and he hasn't looked good behind it. And that started again from the beginning. And I don't know, man. I'm just not sold on this. I think that, he could end up hitting. He could end up being good. But right now I'm panicking. And if I can maybe move off him, I would. He has had a rough schedule or a decent schedule of
it's Chicago. Chicago has a decent defense.
Yeah, but
I don't like that matchup for Vegas.
I don't know, man. I think Chicago, probably will get thrown on more than they get run on. I don't know.
He said, listen, dude, it went from 1.3 yards per carry to fucking 3.6.
Yeah.
It's getting better. Hey, remember Angels in the outfield? It can happen.
I just, Tom Brady likes to input himself into these things. Hopefully he can figure it out, right?
Oh, wow. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That was kind of messed up. What is it? So really quick, 144 total rushing yards for Ashton Genty, 145 yards after contact. This man has 1 yard more after contact than his total rush yard. Do you know how many times you have to get tackled behind the line of scrimmage? JPJ, C. Meredith, and Parham guards run it. Chat GPT could come up with a better game plan than Brandon Carroll. I killed my one draft except for Genty. He's like my RB4 now. I am going on the side of panic. I want out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I have like only one redraft team with Ashton Genty. The rest of my Ashton Genty shares are Dynasty shares. So guess what, folks? If you're playing Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're stuck for at least a year because you need to wait. You need to see. Because this could just be a learning curve thing if you're in Dynasty. Redraft, you don't get the luxury of waiting because you got the season that's now. You don't get to be optimistic with your stock. So good luck to Ashton Genty managers. Just wanted to kind of throw that stat out there. We're going to go to wide receivers. We got 2 wide receivers, then 1 more running back. T. Higgins.
I am super panicked on T. Higgins. You know why? Because if Jamar Chase is barely getting off, what the hell's happening to the number 2? The only reason why he was drafted that high is because the anticipation of an offense that would score 40 points a game behind the powerful Joe Burrow is not there. And therefore, T. Higgins is not there. I mean, if Cincinnati's smart, they trade T. Higgins this trade deadline to a team that needs a wide receiver because you cannot afford this team. You have too much resources spent into 3 players, and that is a big problem. And right now, if you have T. Higgins on your team, you should be trying to trade him. You need to figure that out somehow because there is zero faith in him rest of the season. He may score a touchdown or blow up every here and now and then, but now he's an official boomer bust type player and not a consistent player.
I'm not seeing that report from Adam Schefter yet. Yeah, I'm not seeing that from Schefter yet. That's not to say that couldn't be a report. I just can't, in good faith, put that out right now. Let's see here. So yeah, T. Higgins for sure. I'm out on. I feel like that one's harder to move than Ashton Genty because like with Ashton Genty, there's always going to be at least 1 or 2 people in your league that are going to have rookie fever. They're going to be like, I'm going to fuck around and find out. T. Higgins. Let's see here. Are you suggesting that you trade them away, but nobody really wants them? So how do you move them? So with T. Higgins, the way that I'd be moving him is in a package. With Genty, I'd be trying to move him in a package. Okay. You're going to want to be adding a little bit of value. So kind of like what you were doing with, the Adams situation.
Oh yeah.
You're adding that value that makes the package a little bit more tantalizing for someone to, take the other piece. But the name value of the other piece is decent enough to where they're like, that could work out for me, type of situation. It's all about also whenever you're sending a trade offer. So when I send a trade offer, I don't just send the offer. I like to kind of type, I don't type like a fucking essay, but I like to, kind of, let's negotiate. I like to, negotiate, open up a conversation. If it's my home league, I actually like to, meet up, and like, hey, let's grab lunch, or let's grab a beer, type shit, hey, round of golf, type of deal. And I like to try, working deals, that way. But with these players, you want to be putting them into packages. I mean, some of them you're going to be able to utilize, and moving for value in 1-for-1 situations. You might be able to move a T. Higgins for, I'm trying to think of someone that's like performing around it, like a Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, because people are panicking on AJ Brown. So you might be able to bring back an AJ Brown, who in retrospect might actually end up having a better season long, because he actually still is attached to his starting quarterback. So you're just trying to match to see where you can get ahead. Anything else you want to add in on T. Higgins?
No, I think we've beat that horse.
Yeah. Success. Our second wide receiver of panic or chill is Marvin Harrison Jr. How are we feeling about Marvin Harrison Jr. right now? So I know how I feel about this one.
That drop was one of the most frustrating things, because we have been waiting all game. You finally get the big play that you drop. What are you doing? I think that more than the stats, more than him being, bad last year, he just has the opportunity and fucks it up. And when Kyler Murray was talking about it before, he's like, I mean, I'm going to get the ball where it needs to go, kind of thing. Like, yeah. I'm not going to go crazy to get him.
I'm not going to force it, what he said last year.
Yeah. And, like, you're kind of like, oh, shit. Like, I don't even want to think about what it's like in practice. If you fucking lose concentration in a game, what the fuck are you doing in practice? And how does your dad like, your dad's not gonna fucking shit the fuck. Like, he should razz you so hard. Your dad is a Hall of Fame wide receiver who taught you to catch. I am sure he has jokes for you for days, because he's a locker room man. There is no way you got to get better somehow. And that's that tough love. Like, bro, what are you not working? What are you thinking in your mind that you have this beautiful opportunity that you fuck up?
So, yes, I do think that, yes, Petzing is a part of the problem in Arizona. Do I think that it's all of it? No. There does seem to maybe be some sort of from the coordinator's coaching standpoint. Maybe there could be more targets to Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. definitely does seem like one of those receivers that get him warmed up, get him some targets. Kyler Murray also doesn't seem like he's eager to freaking just get him the ball either. Kyler Murray, to Taco's point, has already voiced that I don't necessarily want to, force the ball to him. I'm going to get the ball to whoever's open. So I think that there is some of that to do with it as well. I get it. Yes, Marv running slants every play. I know the play calling is fucking up the value of my Marvin Harrison Jr. rookie card. I'm not happy about it. It is messing with my dynasty shares of Marvin Harrison Jr. and the couple of redraft shares that I have of him. I am for now chill. At certain points, coordinators recognize the error of their ways. Okay. I am giving it a 2-week threshold. And I am giving it this week. And I am getting rid of Marv off of fantasy rosters. Okay. I don't get the drop. I get not getting the targets, seeing the targets against a division opponent in San Fran. That isn't the part that necessarily has me panicked with Arizona. It is another divisional opponent. You need to be a focal point of that offense in order to topple Seattle, because Seattle is playing out of their fucking minds right now, and that defense is turned up. If there's no Marv, I don't know how successful that the operation is Thursday night for the Cardinals. I benched Marv this week, not starting him, but he can be on my bench until hopefully he can prove something. Laugh my ass off, the perfect time for me to come in. Marv is extremely talented, but having a guy barely able to see over the O-line, throwing him, who's a bottom 20 QB in the league, he's not going to put up numbers. That I also agree with. I am starting to worry about Kyler and his ability to actually be able to get the job done at the quarterback position. Kyler is great for fantasy football. Love it for fantasy football. I can only imagine how pissed off Arizona Cardinal fans must be that he has passes getting batted at the freaking line. You know, how do you think Benson will do against Seahawks? I think that they're going to have to rely on Benson, because you cannot have, JSN who's getting 7 to max 13 targets a game just going off and tearing you apart. Seattle is moving at a high tempo. You need to keep the ball out of Sam Darnold's hands. The problem is that Arizona's offense can't put together time possession drives, so it's going to be very tough. It's going to be very tough on Arizona. Kyler should be playing baseball. Could have gotten a bigger paycheck. It stems from Kyler. I've been a Cards fan my whole life. He needs to be off the team in order for us to succeed. That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily think that it's all the play calling. I don't think that it's all on the coordinator. I think that there is a quarterback piece to this as well. Oh, here we go. Hold on. I'm a Cards fan. Let's just say the way Arizona looking almost makes me want to cry.
I'm a Giants fan. I feel your pain.
I mean, you guys are Arizona. You're winning ball games right now. So can't panic too much. But no, for Marv, I'm chilling right now just because it's also September football. We take it back to Cincinnati with Chase Brown. Go ahead, take it away, because this is the one that you get to eat crow on.
So with Chase Brown, he has been by far one of the least efficient running backs we've seen. But one thing that we do have to factor in is that he doesn't have a great offensive line, and he has a tough start of his schedule with Cleveland and Minnesota. Jacksonville isn't the best, but he is facing Denver next, Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, the Jets. That's his first 8 weeks. This man is someone that, with no Joe Burrow to take away from them crashing down on him, is going to struggle mightily. We did see that he did get a little work in the passing game in his last game, which salvaged his day, because he had 10 rushes for 3 yards with 4 catches on 5 targets. I think that's where, if he's going to be salvageable, it will be through his usage in the pass game and that passing volume. Once we get past the Jets, it starts to open up a little bit for him. But theoretically, he got work week 13, Baltimore, week 14, Buffalo, week 15, Baltimore. He has week 16 and 17, Miami and Arizona. So if there's a silver lining, by then Joe Burrow might be back. And, that might be his easiest games of the year, or the games that you actually might see him having some headway. He has a rough schedule. He hasn't been efficient. The panic meter's all the way up. You're praying that you get something back. There is virtually no way that you can trade him for anything that's viable. You don't want to cash out on a guy that does get enough volume and there's no one else behind him that he might be able to get something going at a desperate position like running back. So it's hard. It is the worst situation you could possibly be in. And I think unless you're able to package him in a deal to get something viable, you probably have to sit and hold him and pray. That is all
I
you can
think
do with him.
I think that the panic flags across your entire fantasy league, if you're messaging, like a Chase Brown owner, if you're a Chase Brown, owner, and you've been doing the messaging, because that's probably the more likely the way that it's been panning out for you, you've already experienced that you're probably stuck holding the bag. So unfortunately, I am going to say chill until this team does get a competent quarterback. I think that we are probably only a couple of weeks away from that from happening. That quarterback is still going to be playing behind a shit offensive line, but the competency of that quarterback may at least be able to make Chase Brown viable enough to move back into a flex spot at the very least, as long as he's not playing a Thursday night game, which I don't think the Bengals have too many of this year. So with that being said, that's how I am approaching the Chase Brown situation. You're chilling because you are forced to hold the bag. You are chilling with the wish and a prayer.
Yeah. You're like sitting down and like cursing yourself every day that you didn't draft someone else, looking back at the draft board saying, can you imagine this team if I would have drafted them? As you have him in your lineup and you're forced to fucking play him. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Brown needs to lock in ASAP. I'm gonna start to panic on Jamar. We're not far away from that. It's just luckily his volume constitutes
I'll say this:
raw stability.
Minnesota had an all-time game on defense, though. My man was like, I forgot the cornerback who had like 3 turnovers. Like it was kind of nuts what he was doing. So, there's not that. That's not gonna happen every week.
Robbie, I'm 0-3. Would I be insane to trade Jefferson and Breece Hall for Bijan and DJ Moore, given that my running backs are Javonte and Chase Brown at the moment? Can we get rid of Jefferson and Chase Brown? And can we get back maybe something a little bit better than DJ Moore? Like maybe what is the rest of their receivers? It would leave me with Terry, Pearsall, DJ Moore, Golden, Mooney at receiver. I don't mind getting just a tag, because like right now Justin Jefferson isn't great. We don't know what that's going to look like when JJ comes back. If it's going to be Carson Wentz, even when JJ is healthy, because I could very well see that going in that direction, then I'm probably wanting to hold on to Jefferson. But realistically, it's Chase Brown out of the bunch that needs to be gone off of your roster. Not
Minnesota fucked up letting Daniel Jones go.
Yeah, pretty much. Isaiah Rodgers had a freaking week.
Yeah, ball.
So glad I drafted Mbuka and Bucky in most leagues. Everyone that drafted Bucky, I'm glad that you guys definitely got that as well. Same with the Mbuka, we were high on him. I lost by 0.80 on fantasy, and of course, I would have won if Jamar didn't fumble, but it's all good. I got confidence in Jamar, I think.
Just take a shot every time you do it, and you'll feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Do I take Judkins for Scatterbush straight up? No.
Not even close.
And he's a Giants fan. Speaking of the New York Football Giants, today the New York Giants announced Jackson Dart as the starter. We have officially entered the Dart era in the Big Apple. Fantasy outlook and thoughts on the move.
Just one last thing on the last question. The reason why I wouldn't do it is Tracy will be back. We don't know what that timeshare looks like. Judkins is full go on volume. When we come back to this Jackson Dart situation, I think it's a bit peculiar that after Russell Wilson has that bad game where he throws it out of bounds on 4th down, we're immediately going to Jackson Dart, because I thought it was Jackson Dart was supposed to be ready. And is it that he's ready, or is it that you're desperate? And if it's a desperation move, I'm really going to get frustrated because that's not what you should be doing to your quarterback, especially when you have Jameis Winston on the team, where you could have easily said, all right, Russ, you're not it for right now. You're going to go down to QB3. Jamie, come up here, be a QB for a couple of weeks. We're facing San Diego. We have a game versus the Eagles coming up. We have some tough games coming up. Let you go out there. You do some stuff. Kid, get ready. Second half, you're probably going to be in. I don't like that they did that unless, again, he's ready. And then if he's ready after 3 weeks, what is it that held him back from not being ready week 1? Because it's a very short timeline. And then you look at what Russell Wilson did last week. Everyone was going absolutely nuts. He's back. And now he has another bad game, and you're pulling for Dart. I don't know how reactive it is. I don't know how much of it is seeing guys like Daniel Jones succeeding and you're consistently failing. Even neighbors were saying that it's not the quarterback. So I think Dable is coaching for his job. He is doing everything he possibly can, and that this is a desperation to play, and that shit scares me. But again, with the rushing upside that you do get from Jackson Dart, it is a wild card, and it could be something. But I'm really a little nervous, to be honest.
I'll drop my take here in just a moment. For Crimney, I kind of touched on this. I may have read it wrong. Yes, you're taking Judkins if you have Scataboo. If you're getting Scat, no, you're keeping Judkins.
Yep.
Harrison, kickers for this week. Schrader from Indy, Sly from Tennessee are guys that have been going off. I know that it was rough for kickers this past week. I think that Cardi Party will be okay just because he's consistent for the most part for the Rams. Gotta love Dicker, the kicker, as well. And those
Joey
would be
Sly, number 1 kicker in the league.
Yep, yeah. Those are guys that I'm going for. Shout out to Joey Sly. I coached him. I played football with his brother in high school. Went to school with his brother AJ, RIP Sly Strong baby. And his mom was my math teacher. So shout out, Joey, one of the highest scorers in Virginia Tech history as well. Cemented in greatness. Hey, Koo's on the Giants now because their guy got hurt. Yes, that was a thing. Look, the way that I got fucked by Romo. Yeah, never do that again. Never do that again. Someone offered me Brees Hall, Scataboo for Gibbs. What we think? I think that they are on drugs.
If you're getting Gibbs, I will take Gibbs.
If you're getting Gibbs, yeah.
Whoever's getting Gibbs is winning that deal.
Exactly. The person thinking that offer is going to get them Gibbs,
yeah,
no.
If they sent you that, you take that money and run.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Gibbs is untradeable. If they are willing to give up Gibbs, more power to them.
Because Scat back could be nice. I'm not saying no, because he's getting passing and he's getting goal line. But there's still a lot of questions. And Brees Hall, get the fuck out of here.
Here's the thing with Scat and why we're going to get so many questions for like the next couple of weeks with Scat is because the moxie and the presence like that he had in college and like the way that's carrying over into like the Big Apple. Everyone's so like enamored and attracted by it.
Yep.
Like people are buying. People are forgetting that they're playing fantasy football and they're buying into the image.
Yep.
In fantasy football. And that's where Scat becomes like this tool that you could kind of utilize because you're playing on the psychology of your league mates, not thinking about stats, not thinking about film, not thinking about workload, not thinking about volume. So you're able to utilize all of your intellect and the fact that you subscribe to our channel and you hit the like button on our stream to be able to leverage into situations where you can kind of get over on the other managers. Sounds like I should try and sell Scat, right? Because everyone is having a Scat question.
I would, if I have him, I would hold him. I wouldn't trade for him, and I wouldn't trade him away. It's just very risky. But if you have him, I would hold him.
Would you stash Monangai or Blake Corum if you own Kyron? It would be Corum because I would just go for the direct handcuff. The Bears are not going to sustain that offense that they put up against Dallas. They played Dallas,
The question comes down to who's on the rest of your roster. Because if you don't need extra running backs and you have a lit team, you ride Corum, because if your guy goes down, you have the immediate plug-in.
Exactly.
If you're weak at running back and you're like, fuck, even if like shit goes down, I could be fucked because I only have Kyron and XY. Kyle does have that opportunity to give you a second running back that you could viably play. So I think
my running backs are Kyron, Travion, Woody. I'm still in Tajay. Ew. I would still be going. I would still be going Corum just because the Bears offense isn't going to click like that every fucking week.
Between Monangai and Marks, they're both like upside plays. So you already have one of those, so it makes more sense to take the handcuff. And then you have Tajay Spears Pros on IR, who eventually will come back, and if you need him, you can kind of plug in.
Really quick, my take on the Jackson Dart situation. Getting the starting job. Congratulations. It's about time. We kind of already knew. A lot of people were like, why didn't they just go with the typical, from veteran, throw in the other veteran, see what happens, put Jameis out there, yada, yada, yada. I think that's replacing Jameis with Russell Wilson is the Flex Seal meme. Just throwing like the Flex Seal tape on like the leaking hole. Because you kind of are in a way getting the same guy, except just one plays with a little bit more attitude and appreciation for the game. They just show their appreciation a little bit more for the game through their actions, and that's really all that you're getting. It's time to enter the future, and it's time to cross into a new era, and I think this is the perfect way that you do it with not just the quarterback combo, and of course, last year's traffic with your receiver, your star receiver, your franchise receiver, and Malik Neighbors, but then also bring in what is probably about to be the face of your franchise in the backfield, Scadaboo, in simultaneously while Tracy gets back healthy. I think that this is the new face of New York. I expect this to sell a lot of jerseys. I expect this to sell a lot of tickets for all the young players involved. And I do think that this doesn't necessarily get rid of Dable's job. It doesn't necessarily save it. But if Dart plays well enough, you don't have this. There's this common misconception that Dable's job is automatically linked to wins. I think that if Dable just shows that, hey, I can mold this kid and I can, bring him in and kind of get on that Josh Allen path, and with this kid that kind of fits that mold a little bit more anyways, then Dable's job is safe. With that being said, from a fantasy football standpoint, I am just waiting before I start going and, trying to invest in getting Jackson Dart. There are still other better situations that I can go out there and I can trust right now and not have to worry about the rookie woes. I don't want to get in a situation like we were with JJ McCarthy, where it's like, he's a starter now, so it's automatically going to work out, and let's not do that. Or what everyone did with Michael Penix, and now there's a chance that they could revert back to Kirk Cousins. So that's why I want us to wait.
God, I hope they do. Please bring Kirk back.
Yeah.
Drake London shares are suffering.
Yes, I did mention this earlier in the show when we talked about the running back section of the waiver wire. Stay away from the backfield. JCM is the only piece realistically that might be able to be rostered, and that's probably going to be a bye week fill-in. The Commanders' backfield are all bye week fill-ins. Once we get into bye weeks, only grab them if you are desperate. If everyone else off the waiver wire is gone, Tootin, Benson, etc., all those value pieces are gone, then you start investing into that backfield. Or if you're in a deep league that's like 14, 16 teams, well, then you don't have a choice. Both the Browns and the Panthers came away with wins this week, and teams such as the Ravens and Chiefs find themselves facing off in a week 4 for the battle of don't go 1-4. Which of these storylines is more surprising to you and why?
The undefeated teams. The most surprising one has to be the Colts. Man.
Well, I wasn't going to bring up the any of the undefeated teams, but this is your way of. I know what this is. This is what you're about to do here.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about it, Mr. Danny Dimes just put himself back on that map, looking like a Josh Allen clone that we'd always thought about. We call him Vanilla Vic over here before, but I think that team is like really showing up and showing out, and it's kind of scary when you think about it. What? They are.
I'm answering the chat. You're good.
Yeah. They're definitely showing up and showing out, and I don't think that anyone foresaw that coming. And who knows? Might be looking at a division winner.
Okay. But out of on the show sheet, bro, like the Panthers Browns getting their first win, or the battle of don't go 1-4. Which one is more compelling? Congrats to us for calling the Daniel Jones. Congrats to you for calling the Daniel Jones. Congrats to Mike for calling the Daniel Jones. We all called Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones got me my win last week. We've brought up Daniel Jones for the last 3 weeks on this show. So
I would say that the Ravens right now, I think, are in a spot that's psychologically could fuck up the team, because it's not like they weren't competitive. They lost some bullshit. It's like how many games does Derrick Henry fumble? Not many. He did it twice.
He has three fumbles. He has 3 fumbles this year to last year where he had 3 fumbles the whole year.
And they're in the fourth quarter. All of them.
Live every night.
And it's
every night but Saturday.
It's beyond scary when you think about that kind of a situation, because at what point does temper start flaring? At what point do guys start getting at each other? And now you have like a little cancer developing on the team, because you know what? There's shit that's not going down, and maybe guys aren't playing as hard as they should, or I don't know what is fucking going on there, because there's no way I would have believed that the Ravens are 1-3. They have had a decently hard schedule. But you know what? I think that Mahomes has enough excuses, quote unquote, because of his receivers not being there, that you can rationalize that. They're full going, the Ravens. There's no way you can rationalize that. That leads to turmoil. So yeah, that's the most important, dangerous one.
I am going to take the comedic approach here. Yes, hey, I am definitely compelled by the fact that the Ravens are 1-3 right now, well, I'm sorry, 1-2 right now. They could go 1-3. I'm sorry, I think I said 1-4 earlier when I introduced the topic. But it's a battle of don't go 1-3 between those two. That one is definitely a compelling story, just because I already had this being the Chiefs' fall off year, and anyone that's been subscribed to the channel long enough knows that I said that during the off season as we were hyping up for the season. I've been saying it week in, week out, with another told you so moment. With that being said and stated, I am not as compelled by the battle of 1-3 as I am by what the hell, Cleveland? You were supposed to be, tanking. And I guess the second that it started becoming questionable whether or not Arch Manning could be generational or not, then it was like, all right, let's go ahead and now win a football game. So I think that it's interesting that the Browns went out there and won a football game. Carolina looked like the Carolina that I think we've thought that coming into the season that they could have picked up from last season, and still had some of that. They were been in some close games, these past couple of weeks. Tet's looking hella talented and looking like he's going to be a thing. So, I'm excited about Carolina. But my gosh, Cleveland, you had no business winning, and you went out there and you beat the team that for the last 3 weeks that everyone's been talking about, oh, it's a Super Bowl contender, yada yada yada. The team that everyone was already ready to give the Lombardi to, you went out there and you pulled off the upset. Proof that anything is possible in the National Football League. And at the end of the day, any given Sunday, that is still another NFL team on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, and I will say this, though, about the Panthers. That game really felt more an indictment on how bad Penix was than how good the Panthers were, because even offensively, they were okay. They weren't great. And then defensively, I think they gave up, 2 touchdowns? Like, how did you let the defense score twice, man? And then you had all the missed kicks that, again, kind of changes the pressure on it. I want to see more from the Panthers. It does seem like what you're saying, though. Tet might be a thing. Tet might be someone that you should probably start grabbing now if you can. Like, if you can trade for someone, maybe if that manager doesn't really believe in Carolina, he hasn't really blown up yet. But when you see some of the catches that he makes where he's like skying over the guy to just get the catch like that, how are you defending that?
Jason, the Eagles come back. I mean, we kind of figured
that was sick.
That was sick, but I mean that was one of those things that we kind of figured that was gonna happen. I mean,
yeah,
those. What are you gonna get when those two teams match up? Styles make fights. Styles make fights. Those teams are very well matched. We figured that was gonna come down to some shit like that. To be honest. All right, let's get into Thursday night picks, and then I have to read the cliff notes, and then we're getting out of here. Thursday night picks. The spread is 1.5. The over/under is 43.5. I will be calling this game live Thursday night. We do have a AMA session tomorrow, so we will be live answering more fantasy football questions. Seahawks favorite on the money line. Arizona dogs at +102. What are our thoughts?
Seattle is plus what?
Seattle's -122. Cards are +102.
For the points. Seattle's getting how many points?
1.5. It's a 1.5 point spread.
I would take Seattle.
The over under is 43.5.
I would take Seattle with the points, and I would take the under.
The number's low enough to where the over can hit. I could see a McBride TD. I could see a Benson TD. I could see a K9. I could see, if Will Johnson's back. I don't know if Will Johnson's back. I have to double check on that. That's going to be how I feel about JSN getting one. Is going to be dependent on the secondary and the health of the secondary. I mean, Melton as well. Secondary of the Cardinals could sway things into the Cardinals' favor if it's a healthy Cardinals' favor. I do not mind taking Arizona. 43.5 is low enough to where I do like the over, mathematically speaking. Both these teams have defenses. I'm going to start JSN. I'm going to start K9. Cooper Kupp's a fringe start for me. I'm going to start Benson. I'm going to start McBride. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a fringe start for me. Fringe start is also like, you can also, say it's a flex play. But it's a Thursday night game, so you're not putting them in your flex. You're putting these guys in your starting lineup. So I'm probably holding off on both Cooper Kupp and Marvin Harrison Jr. in this matchup. The Seahawks keep this within possession, within control. I give this game just barely going over the over. I do give this to the Seahawks. It's just better talent offensively, I feel. And I feel like it's a better offense put together. Both teams have defenses, but that Seattle defense flies around and creates no-fly zones. They're going to get after Kyler. They're going to force Kyler to try and, beat him with his arm, and I don't know if he can. So I think it comes down to turnovers and mistakes, and I think that Kyler makes more of the turnovers and mistakes in this game than Sam Darnold. My main wide receivers are CD Drake. Go ahead. You can answer, or you already gave your take on a Thursday night. My main wide receivers are CD Drake, Tet. I got Matthew Golden and Keon Coleman on the bench. Matthew Golden needs to go. I don't need any more bench wide receivers, right? Or do I look to add any more? It's not
You
that you're
stacked that
necessarily
one.
adding anymore. It's just that you're more so swapping guys out to get better. I like keeping Keon Coleman because he's just gonna. I want some piece of that Buffalo offense, whether it's Keon Coleman stashed on my bench, whether it's even I don't give a fuck Palmer stashed on my bench, or Khalil Shakir. I want some piece of that Buffalo offense because it's just so high octane that they make great fill-in pieces when bye weeks that are getting ready to come up. Matthew Golden is probably the one that I maybe would drop. And depending on what the waiver wire situation is looking like, maybe I am bringing back, a guy like, I mean, it's gonna depend on the landscape. If there's a top prospect out there on the waiver wire, maybe I am bringing back just to keep them away from my other opponent.
I don't think I'm ready to cut bait on Golden Tate. We saw that there was a couple of
Stop
misses on
calling him
some big
Golden
plays.
Tate. We do this
I mean,
all the time.
all the
Matthew
time. This is the
Golden.
first time I did it. I wouldn't cut bait on Matthew Golden, just because he is a rookie. He is still getting acclimated. We haven't seen the big game from Green Bay.
There's just
This
too
week,
many mouths to feed in Green Bay.
they missed a couple of big plays. I'm not willing to give up on that one. I think there's still upside there. This week is a big week versus the Bears, though. If it doesn't come this week, I would be a lot more hesitant to keep it going.
I see
But
Matthew Golden on his very similar rookie career arc of what Keon Coleman was, and I don't want to put myself through that because of how good the offense is. Where it's like does take a minute. It does take a minute.
yeah, but we'll see. This is a good game versus Dallas for him. If he
I
doesn't
would
deliver here,
I would rather have so I'll with Frizzy with Frizzio's questions with Frizzio's question, I'm gonna tie it in. Okay, with what we just were talking about, I would drop Matthew Golden for Trey Tucker, for Luther Burden. I would give it one more week on Torrey Horton, but I don't mind pulling the trigger this early. I would grab Sterling Shepard even for a week to make sure that my opponent can't have. I would do all of these things.
no,
And drop
I,
Matthew Golden.
I would keep Golden at least another week.
I'm starting Vincent over Walker mainly for receiving upside. I don't mind that. Hey, I'm 0-3. I want to shake up my team. I give Bijan and Ladd. I get London and Hampton.
How do you feel about London? Because right now I'm scared as shit. I need Kirko to come back.
I'm more scared of London than I am of Ladd's situation.
Yeah.
Ladd's situation, I think that everyone needs to chill on. I think that everyone's trying to justify Ladd just because the Keenan Allen connection is there. And it's like, well, I kind of told everyone that was going to happen. And now Hampton is going to be becoming a thing in the backfield and the passing game. I would still almost rather have Ladd in a more prolific offense versus an offense that's probably going to be going back and forth between Penix, Cousins throughout the duration of the year where there's not going to be much consistency. And then Bijan is just going to be the focal point of that offense no matter what happens, no matter what quarterback is under center. People are sleeping on how good Hampton will be, but I don't think that it's to the point that I would pull the trigger that Daniel
I was just saying I think he has top 15 running back potential. I do think he's there.
Should I trade Javonte Williams and my backup QB? Who is the backup QB? Let's see here. For Rashee Rice.
Yes.
I'm 3-0 with my running backs as Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and RJ Harvey.
Yes.
And wide receivers Tyreek, DJ, Mbuka, and Wandale.
Yes.
Okay, so it's Javonte Williams and your backup QB. I want to know who the backup QB is, but for the most part, the answer is yes. You're 3-0. What do you have to lose?
I can't imagine who's your backup QB that would make you say no because, I mean, you have a starter. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard. I think that's
I mean, yeah, you're bringing back Rashee Rice. You'll stash him on the bench as long as you have bench spots in your league. But I also got Jawan and Fannin and Drake and Murray. I could drop one of them and pick up Tucker or Luther. It's a single QB league. Like I said, I'm all about rostering talent and hoarding talent, especially top talent. If I can drop, for me, it's going to be Golden. You already got Juwan and Fannin. I want to keep those away from people.
I would say you should look at what kind of quarterbacks are on your waiver wire. If you have guys that, God forbid your guy gets hurt, that you would be able to pick up, I would drop one of the 2 quarterbacks, probably Kyler Murray.
No, it's Golden. It's Golden. Like people are dropping Matthew Golden at a crazy fucking rate, at a crazy clip, and it's been happening since the beginning of the season. People overreacted week 1, week 2. It was like, this is starting to get justifiable. It's justifiable at this point. Start Benson, ETN. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, and make sure that you guys also like the stream.
Just before we get there, in his last game,
what? Hurry up.
He had 4 targets for 4 catches and 52 yards, plus 3 rushing attempts for 9 yards and 8 return yards. I'm not ready to count him off. It was the best game yet
for me. Start Benson, Etienne, or Kamara this week. I also have Hall and Mason starting.
Take Hall out.
Let's see here.
Mason. Oh, Mason.
Those are already started. So I'm assuming he's looking for a flex. If those are his RB1s and 2, if Hall and Mason are RB1 and 2, those are the ones that he already has in. So then he's asking. I'm assuming he's asking for a third.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Benson. I'm putting Benson in lineups as much as possible. Let's see here. We are getting a lot of questions.
And if you ask me, I'm probably starting Travis Etienne over Bryce.
Yeah. Hey, we do have a show dedicated to starts and sits tomorrow night. So you guys are able to. I'm going to go ahead and take another one really quick. I traded Judy, who I never started, Addison, who I never started, and Pollard for Javonte Williams, Ladd, Mike Evans. Did I win or no? Well, Mike and his older age is down. Ladd is hot and cold week in, week out. Javonte, I think you might have bought the stock on Javonte too high, but right now it's paying off. I'm going to say that it's too early to tell. I like that you traded Judy. I'll say yes. At this moment, I'll say yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
I think that the upside that you have between Ladd and Evans is better than Judy.
Yeah, and Evans will come back healthy.
Yeah.
Ladd will have his weeks, but then Keenan Allen will have his weeks that he steals from Ladd. You'll be fine, though. Start 2. DJ Moore, Pittman, Waddle, Warren. Pittman
and Warren.
Yeah, Pittman and Warren. I was about to say the exact same thing. Let's see. Start 2. Javonte, Swift, Myers. I almost want to go Javonte and Myers.
That's kind of
going to go Javonte and Myers.
Yeah, that's what I would do too.
Start 1 if no Fields this week. Darnold, short week. Geno, Rodgers, 9 a.m. game, or Stafford. Darnold. Unless you think someone else on waivers might be better. Maybe Dart. Hurdy's a dual threat. Darnold.
Yeah.
Would you trade Sticky Ricky for Sutton? I have Bo Nix, so I want that stat. And if the owner says no, so yes, the answer is yes. Would you trade Nix and Ricky for a Murray hit? No, I wouldn't. Yes to the first, no to the second. Nervous when Jennings, Ayuk, and Jennings. Exactly. You read my mind exactly why I wouldn't do that, Jason. Make sure that you guys hit the like. Make sure that you subscribe. Benson or Genty sounds crazy, but Benson. Appreciate all the questions answered tonight. Of course. On dropping Kyler Murray, the only QBs left on waivers is Geno, Sam, Stafford, Wentz, Dart. You're keeping Kyler.
Yeah.
Really quick, I'm gonna read off Things all NFL fans must accept week 3 edition. Chase Brown is a fantasy disappointment so far. Ramondre Stevenson should be benched.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud quarterback regression is like Benjamin Button levels of regression. It needs to be studied. It is so real. Michael Penix Jr., the jury is still out. Might be a bust.
Get him out.
The Bengals should trade for a quarterback. Quinshon Judkins will likely outrush Ashton Jeanty this year when it's all said and done. Rome Odunze is the wide receiver 1 in Chicago. San Francisco has an uphill battle to contend without Nick Bosa. Other than that, Taco, last words, last statements. It was a busy show. It was a crazy show.
Crazy. We hit midnight. Cheers, bitches.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, exactly. Hey, cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rum Boys and girls. What to do? Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the like button. Turn on the notification bell. I'm going to be live tomorrow doing more AMA. I'm just going to be doing nothing but answering all your fantasy football questions. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rum Boys and girls. What to do? Dilly dilly. Arrr. Oh, and I'll be answering your betting questions as well. Don't be afraid. I got you. Arrr. Arr. Arr.
Reaching on the, yeah.